So basically I'll be speaking about the application of drones in climate change mitigation, monitoring and the management. The overall, most of the work which I will be presenting, it is not the work done by me, honestly speaking. It is basically drone is an evolving field. I have collected a lot of materials in the internet and I am presenting you before that. There are a lot of copyrights involved. So I would like to emphasize here that, again, it's a collection of materials from various sources in order to popularize the drone. With that intention, I have taken all these materials from the various sources. So you are aware, 1972, July was the beginning of the era, wherein from the almost from 700 to 800 kilometers, you are able to observe the Earth without touching the object. That was the starting point, 1972, wherein the USA launched the first satellite called as Landsat-1. And during that time, the spatial resolution of the satellite was something like 80 meters. That means any object which are bigger than 80 meters can be seen from the camera which are put on the satellite about 800 kilometers. Today, the same technology, you are able to get 25 centimeters. Imagine the kind of a drastic changes in the technology which has happened from 1972 as on maybe 2023. Maybe even the previous year itself, it was 25 centimeter. Okay? Of course, the satellite gave a big boost for mapping of the entire state, entire country, the entire world. And today, satellite forms one of the most important components for monitoring of our natural resources in terms of the climate change, climate monitoring, the climate management, and so on. In between, of course, the aerial photography, of course, it has been used from the World War I, but for really observing the Earth, it was used from 1950 onwards. But using the aerial photography, both high altitude or a low altitude, certainly for a specific area, it was very good. But unfortunately, there were a lot of regulations were involved. That is the reason only for few cities the aerial mapping was done, and maybe some other priority areas. But the technology is today, along with the remote sensing, let me tell you, along with the remote sensing, the drone is going to play a major role. It's a nascent field. I'm sure in the years to come, the drone are going to play an important role in various applications. It could be the climate change, it could be the monitoring of various climate, the causes which happens actually on the Earth, or monitoring of our natural resources, or the urban areas, or for the environment, you name anything. The imaginations are the limitations in the application of drone today, along with the, the remote sensing. Only we need to prioritize which one to be used, which I will come to that later actually. What is drone? You may ask me. Drone, everybody talks actually. What is drone? Anybody can answer without seeing this? That's why I said without seeing this. Yeah. The most important thing is actually drone is basically an abbreviations. In fact, really it is called actually unmanned aerial vehicle or unmanned aerial systems. Okay, but usually from 1940 onwards, it is being said actually the drone, and they also coined it's a dynamic remotely operated navigation equipment. That is the drone. But in real term, scientific term, it is the UAV, UAS, truly speaking, unmanned aerial systems, because it is not just only the vehicle, it has got several integrated components. That is why it is called as UAS, not UAS, America. This is unmanned aerial systems. Okay, so it's basically a robot. flying miniature robot, you can call it actually, or it can be also called as an automatic pilot aircraft. But all that today is being promoted as unmanned aerial systems. Okay? And the technology is growing. Why the drone, although it was popularized from 1940 onward, it has not grown because there are a lot of regulations. You know, because the drone also occupies the aerospace, aircraft space. So there are a lot of restrictions. Fortunately, from 2021 onwards, the government of India through DGCA, they have liberalized the policy. 90% today, it is open for flying the drone up to an height of 400 feet, 120 meters, in the green zone. Again, they have classified into 3 major areas: the red zone, the air, wherever actually our airports or strategic points, military establishments, except that they are within 5 kilometers, it is called the red zone. There also it can be flown, but with the approval of the government. Then the second is called the yellow zone, from 5 to 12 kilometers. There also there are a lot of restrictions. It has to be flown only with the approval of government of India. The third category is called the green zone. 90% of the area falls under the green zone, where you can fly the drone up to 400 feet, not beyond that. So from 2021 onwards, the drones, the use of drones for different applications have taken up. But still, we are still young in this field. Although the applications are many and diverse, and it has been proved beyond doubt, but the use of drones till today in India is in a nascent stage, unlike in many other countries. Now slowly, India is picking up. The Honorable Prime Minister is giving a lot of importance for the drone. In fact, it has been forecasted that by 2025, India will be the important global market for drone, going to be third largest market for drone in India. And by 2030, it has been emphasized that actually, we are going to be the global drone hub in India for the world. Okay, that is the kind of vision it is being expected for the drone. Okay, so with this, actually, I see this, no doubt, as I said, the flying high in the sky, similar to the satellite. The satellite operates anywhere between 600 to 800 kilometers, while the drone maybe around, it can be from 5 feet right up to the 400 feet. Imagine the kind of variability you can have in the drone. Okay? Like a satellite, it has various components for flying. It is like an aircraft. It's a miniature aircraft. That's why it is called actually unmanned aerial system or unmanned aircraft system. It will have most of the structures and the principle of the aerodynamics, which I will not get into that because I have to come to the climate change. Okay? See, the satellite and the drones have to be used in conjunction because it has certain capability, while this also has a certain capability. Depending on the intended applications, we can always choose whether we can go for drone or for the satellite, or in conjunction with the both, because the drone provides like what you see through your eyes. It's a ground observation it can give you, while the satellite, since it is orbiting at 600 to 700 kilometers, there could be some variation. There could be earth curvature effect and so on, while in the drone, such things you don't see it. That's the reason actually, see, the flexibility is high in drone. Whenever you want, you can fly the drone. The satellite is not like that. You have flown once, it will have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years or 6 years, depending on it has been manufactured by the respective space agency. So we don't have the flexibility in case of satellite, while the drone we can have the flexibility. Cloud dependence. When there is a cloud, you can still fly the drone. But satellite, of course, it observes the Earth, but due to the cloud, you will not able to see the information on the Earth. So if it is too rainy or windy, even the drone cannot be operated. Okay. Then it also depends on various other conditions. In the drone, basically you require an operator. Pilotless. On the vehicle it's a pilotless, but on the ground you need to have a pilot. Payload, you can always change whichever the payload you would like to have on the drone. While in the satellite, once it has launched, there's launch. You cannot change the payload. Legislation highly restrictive for the drone. While the satellite can cover the entire world, there is no restriction actually. And data update, constantly you can keep on doing it with the drone. This all depends on you, how frequently you want to fly the area. And working time is very short in case of drone, because the battery today, it can only come for about 10 to 15 minutes for a bigger one, and maybe for the better one actually it may come to about 1 hour or so. While the satellite, it is not like that actually. It will work for until it has a lifespan of say whichever the years actually it has. Now, as I said, the drone is almost like an aircraft, but pilotless. But the pilot will be working from the ground control station, and it will be linked to the drone through Wi-Fi or through other wireless mechanism. We can always transmit to the drone. We can manually control the drone or automatic. Today, AI is revolutionizing the drone applications. You can really plan in all respects through the AI. In fact, you can also count number of pomegranates using the drone, and even the status of the pomegranate can be assessed through the use of AI. And the drone can do itself the entire planning. Once if you give the 4 coordinates on all the 4 sides, it automatically does the entire planning and covers the entire area, based on the battery life. So, in a way, I say it's an aircraft which is there. You are the pilots, and then with the ground control, we need to control through the ground, and we may have to make the analysis in the wherever it is required. Of course, drone also there are many types actually. In fact, some people say it only works for 10 minutes. No, some actually work for 10 to 15 minutes. Some will work for 1 hour and all. That depending on the type of drone. Like it's a fixed wing, it can even go for one hour. It is very useful for studying the various applications, particularly for the climate change, for the surveillance, for the environmental monitoring, which I will come to that later. The rotary wing, again here actually there will be 4 arms. It could be 4, it could be 6, it could be 8, depending on the weight of the payload. And there is also the third category called hybrid. Hybrid is actually, it will have both of these. This requires some kind of a ground for flying, like a landing space actually for the aircraft. Similarly, like this actually, it requires some kind of a runway, small runway. While this actually can vertically take off and, and land also. Vertically take off and vertically land. This hybrid, it acts like both fixed wing as well as the rotary wing, so that it can vertically take off and horizontally go like a fixed wing. It has both advantages, and that is going to be the future in the coming years, particularly if you want to transport the medicines, or if you want to really land in some place where it has been flooded due to the climate effect. And in fact, NAL is working on this. Very soon I think they will be successful. Even the very fixed wing also, NAL has recently successfully launched that. Of course, our company is also quite very good in developing the rotary wing, octacopter or hexacopter all that actually our Multiplex is developing. So drone applications, as I said, our imagination are the limitations in the drone applications. It could be used in many applications, particularly in the field of agriculture, which I will come to that later actually. Because today the climate is influencing largely on the agriculture. That's why I want to focus on the agriculture rather than other many things. Then environmental conservation. Then disaster management. Particularly in the disaster management, you would have seen actually 2 years back or 3 years back, there was a heavy floods, landslides, where the drone was used extensively in Karnataka and Kerala for mapping the affected areas. Very conveniently and real time, near real time. Real time or near real time. Bengaluru, yes. Thermal imaging was used actually for the drone based. So in this way, it could be used in many aspects, even the healthcare, transport of medicine, spraying of infection, the disinfection. Even during the COVID time in Bangalore, the drone was used for disinfection. And geospatial mapping. As I said, the remote sensing, if you want to use for a wider area, maybe the first class you can go for the satellite data. Wherever there are hot spots, you can always go with the drone so that you get a more detail. The drone is like what you are seeing. It's a ground observation almost. In fact, the entire country, the government of India, under a program called Swamitva, they are going to distribute the property IDs for all the villages. Now the few villages have already started, few states have already stated. In fact, Karnataka is also included in that. They are using the drone for providing the property ID card. Of course, for all that, not only property ID card, that data could be used for multi-purpose. The same data could be used for your planning, your water line, the sewage line, electrical line, telephone line, all that for entire network it could be used actually. The biggest advantage of this data is that actually the same data could be used for multiple applications. Okay. A typical drone image. Look at this, like what you see through your eyes. The same way you could able to see this. In fact, as I said, I have taken from the internet. It is not my work actually. Okay. Look at you can get exactly 3 dimensions with centimeter accuracy with the drone using the different kinds of payloads. Whatever the kinds of payloads you use in satellite, it's also possible to use except the passive remote sensing sensors. Because passive remote sensing sensors, they provide a wide actually the spatial resolutions. So look at how nicely the coastal area could be mapped. So the biggest advantage of drones, I'm sure you will be able to tell now actually. Okay, one is the cheap and cost effective. Drone, depending on the type of drone, it may cost anywhere between 4 to 6 or 10 lakhs. Even each farmer can afford today if he has a large chunk of land. Okay. Second, high spatial resolution. In terms of centimeter, one can able to get from the drone. 5 centimeter, 4 centimeter, 10 centimeter, depending on your requirement, depending on the height of flying the drone. As I said, you can fly from say just 3 feet to maybe around 400 feet as per the law. Okay, easier to deploy. The drone pilots, just maybe about a week training is enough as per the government regulations section. You can able to fly. A lot of people, they take the drone for just for enjoyment. Marriage. Precision, ease and flexibility is extremely good, and no hindrance from clouds. As I said, even without clouds, if you want to do the crop spraying, if there are diseases to the crop, you can still do it. Only thing is, it's not be too windy. A great tool for surveillance. In fact, you can do the surveillance anywhere. Even a danger area, yes, you can use the drone. Volcanoes, you can use. If it's a dirty area, you know, the sewage related things, or the waste, the Bengaluru waste, if you want to really dump in some place, even the identification of the area, transportation of that, all that could be done actually. And geofencing, if you say the drone should not enter into towards the Vidhan Saudha area, it will not enter it. Today, that is the level of AI, artificial intelligence, could be used for defining. There is what is called flight control inside the drone. It is like an art in case of drone. You can always define what Ashok Reddy wants, that I should not enter to my feet. Yes, you can do the geofencing. Or Ashok Reddy feels that a lot of animals enter into the field. You can always, you know, identify even the animals. As Dr. Ganesh said actually, like, you know, animals could be identified, human beings could be identified, of course using a different spectral band, which I have an image, I'll show it to you, which again I have copied from somewhere. So the impact of climate change on agriculture. Today, you are aware the global warming is happening. You are aware of the decline in productivity. See, today, in fact, actually, like in Mandya, Mysore, Bellary, there is a lot of decline in productivity. Or, you know, my father used to grow 100 tons of sugarcane. Today, it is difficult to get to 40 to 50 tons of sugarcane. Paddy, the same thing. The degradation of the land, loss of natural resources. Slowly, we are losing a lot of natural resources. Decline of biodiversity, the deforestation, forest fires, pests and diseases are increasing. Today, a lot of crops, pests and diseases are increasing every day. Year after year, there are new, you know, pests, new diseases are coming up. So, there are many problems today. In fact, today, India is the largest country in terms of global population. We have already reached 144 crores actually, out of 808.4 crores as on today's statistics. Nearly 17.6% of the population lives in our own country. We need food. Although we have achieved a good success in terms of agriculture, 330 million tons of production, but still by 2050, our population is going to be almost 167 to 180, 168 crores, which requires additional food of nearly 250 million tons. This requires, I'm sure our horticulture person will agree, that, you know, we need to really see that actually our agriculture is being protected, and that requires the study of the climate. And whatever the effect of climate which is happening on the agriculture, we need to tackle it. That's where a lot of mechanization is required. Drone is one part. There are many other things, mechanizations are involved. Even the government of India has given a lot of subsidy for these areas, for the mechanization of various, you know, equipments, technologies, and so on. So, one of the things which could be addressed in the agriculture field is the use of drones for addressing our agriculture production, the reduction in diseases, increasing the yield, the water management, the percolation of the chemicals into the ground, and so on. So today, as I said, drone, we can use all kinds of sensors which you have been using it onto the satellite, except the passive sensors. That means beyond actually the microwave related things. And I will not get into the electromagnetic spectrum. I'm sure some of you may be aware, or somebody else might cover on that. So a camera, in fact, camera is the best one, so that what you see can be seen on the field. But for identification of the different crops, and also identification of the health of the crop, and also the water status, it is always better to go for the multispectral band. And through the fixed wing flying drones, you can map almost 1 hour continuously. In fact, the government of India, now they want to use the drone for assessing the crop status across the country. In fact, very recently the expression of interest was called by the Ministry of Agriculture and the farmers' welfare. I think tomorrow, as I said, the drone has a wonderful application, but the usage of drone for our application still is in a nascent phase. Only from the last 2-3 years we have been working on this, and the next coming years, I'm sure there is going to be a big revolution in the application, big revolution in data analysis, big revolution in the improvement of the sensors and the technology, particularly the artificial intelligence, the other kind of ML and so on actually. So even the thermal sensor, the invisible thing can be seen, visible thing can be made through these thermal sensors. So basically here we define what I want. If there is a due to climate change is related to what, whether it's agriculture, whether it's related to pollution, whether it's a degradation of forest or forest fire or drought, flood. So depending on the kind of application, we can define what is that I want the use case in drone. And accordingly, the drone technology could be redesigned, reshaped, and we do a lot of processing. In fact, the data processing about 3 years back was an Herculean task, was really an Herculean task. Today, a lot of simplifications have been made, a lot of softwares have been developed, which can be done on board. Forget about actually on the lab. On board can be done actually, even the data stitching can be done, mosaicing can be done, and to some extent maybe the analysis, of course, which maybe has to be done on the field, which requires some kind of a human intervention, because human cannot be removed at any stage. Ultimately, our brain is also equally important in all our technological developments. Okay, there are many softwares are available, but depending on the kind of the application you are trying to use, particularly for the climate change, if you want to study the environmental aspect, you need to have a different kind of the softwares. So what basically we do for the climate change or for any of the applications, of course, one application really complements the other application in terms of deriving the information. Like you acquire the images from the satellite, from the drone, feature registration, it can be done there itself. In fact, with a, with RTK kind of a GPS, you can get a centimeter accuracy from this. Centimeter. That's why actually they can able to give the property IDs in the villages using the drone, and transfer estimation, blending of the image composition, and do the panorama and for the entire area which you did. Because while taking the photographs, it takes n number of photographs. All that has to be stitched. It is not just simple. Hundreds, thousands of photographs are being taken. That has to be stitched. That's why actually, in a drone, you have to take almost 60 to 70% overlap. Side overlap, front overlap, depending on the type of applications. Okay. See, for example, agriculture. As I said, the crop health, how do we manage it? Measure that using the sensors, using the drone and satellite data. For example, if you want to do it for a very larger area, I don't recommend the drone. For a smaller area, we can always use the drone for understanding how much area of crop is being grown, what is the status of crop in terms of the water stress, in terms of pests and diseases, in terms of weeds, in terms of lack of micronutrients, or in terms of high temperature. Because today the climate change is more affecting on our food and the agriculture, which is the backbone of our country. That's where we need to give a lot of importance for that. See, one of the techniques is called actually normalized difference vegetation index. There are many, many things. There are many vegetation indices are available. Red vegetation indices. There are at least 6-7 vegetation indices actually which I have the record with me. So with that actually we can assess what is the status of crop. How much area is being covered? How much area has been stressed out, either due to the lack of micronutrient, the water, and so on, because the reflection of the light which is coming from the sun depends on the health of the crop, that is basically the chlorophyll. And particularly the two reasons, red and infrared, plays an important role. It's only for the vegetation. For water, it may be different. Okay. So there are, as I said, there are many indices are available, which I don't want to get into that. But what I would like to say that today, there are many techniques are available to assess the crop health, crop status. In that way, how much could be productivity? Well in advance, you can be able to tell even the yield. Of course, with some ground verifications. Some crop cutting experiments still required actually for assessing the field. Okay, see the cut. See, it is a healthy crop. It looks green. See, this is actually stressed crop. You can see this. Unhealthy crop, the red one. Bare soil, exposed soil, pure red. See, this all comes with a few ground truth, survey, which we feed into the AI-based kind of a software. AI-based, basically what it does is basically on the data. It classifies. Larger the data, accuracy is better. The similar concept is also applied here, I think. See, in fact, one of the biggest applications of drone in India is the crop spraying. Today, our crops are affected due to the lot of climatic variations. The pests and diseases are increasing, pathogens, weeds. There are so many other issues. Okay, you can use the drone. You can spray the say pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, micronutrients, and all that using a separate payload in this, which is not possible from the satellite. As Dr. Ganesh Raj was telling me earlier, they used to use the helicopter. Helicopter also was from a very height. This is actually from a low height, 6 to 7 feet. In fact, today is one of the major work which is happening in the country, because due to climate change, there are a lot of diseases, pest attacks are happening, particularly even in Karnataka, Rajasthan, and so many other places. And here actually, you don't require anybody to be there. A pilot will be at the distance. He can, autonomously control the entire operations, so that you are not exposed directly into the pesticide. It doesn't affect you, and it can cover within 7 minutes. You can cover 1 acre. And since it is spraying from 6 feet, because of the vibration, the molecules will enter inside, and both on the top as well as to the inside to the vegetations. That's why it is more effective, and you can do uniform crop spraying, or rate of variability is also possible. With a large chunk of area, the diseases are actually depends on moderate, the more effect or the less effect, depending on that. We can even identify. Of course, we have not done the work, but today globally there are a lot of work is happening which can be done. I'm sure India also will take up this work in the coming years. See, even if it is a different topography, then drone can adjust depending on the topography and go on its changing its height. Correct? If there is an obstacle, it stops. It doesn't move. So that the danger of obstacle also can be avoided. There are different sensors are available for that. See, for example, weeds. You have shown the crop in a row wise. In between, there are a lot of weeds which have come up. You can identify. Even if it is a stressed crop, you can identify through this. So the crop spraying, as I said, it is one of the important aspects, particularly for agriculture, and simple reason is that the climate change is bringing undesirable changes in terms of various diseases, the floods, the droughts, and many other aspects which can be monitored through this. In fact, I just show you an image. Now, which Multiplex is doing it actually. Australia. This is the crop spraying for field crops, orchards, for many of the crops we can use this. There are a lot of effort is going on standardization of this, the spreading of this pesticide and insecticides and all that. The government of India has already brought out a broader guidelines on the standard operating procedures. I'm very happy to mention that many of the agriculture universities, including our own agriculture universities in Bangalore, they are working on for different crops. What should be the height of spraying? What should be the concentration? Because here a lot of saving can be made even in use of the chemicals. You don't have to, you use a big amount of chemicals here. Water can be saved, maybe 1 to 9% actually is quite enough. Okay, yes, you can go back to the other one. So this is our Multiplex, which is a company which is situated in Bangalore. Multiplex is actually a fertilizer company. It's a very big company. They have a presence across the country. Of course, even in the some of the South Asian countries, they have a presence actually, and they have taken up this drone. And so far, they have built already 300 drones. And there is a requirement actually in the country for another 500,000 drones. In fact, many countries they will ask, provide us the drones. There's going to be a big market. In fact, just about recently it was only about 30-40 crores for the drone sale, but we expect almost 1 billion in next 3 to 4 years. If you look at the drone industry in 2022, it was $22 billion. By 2030, it is going to be $77 billion industry in the coming years. That is the level of the market you are going to have it, and the impact you are going to have. Even the people are using this drone even for identification of the biodiversity. The whales in the ocean, they can be mapped using this, because the whales population due to the climatic factors are changing. You can even study the biology of the whales through the whales, the volcanoes, the Antarctic glaciers. All that could be done in order to understand the various climatic impacts on our resources. Okay, I will not get into that. Okay, this is, for example, flooding. Kurg, you would have somebody from Kurg. The drone was the best technology to be used during the flooding. In fact, a lot of people before the government approached, they published actually these are the areas affected. The landslides, the drought. In fact, I was given an assignment about in 2018 to find out actually how many drones are required for mapping the area being cropped actually in the state. That is even the Jnana Ayoga has recommended the use of drone in Karnataka, and the government of India, immense importance is given to the use of drone. You will come to know in another few years the kind of applications in conjunction with satellite data, how we are going to use this for our monitoring of our natural resources, the climate, and various other, even the urban studies and so on. Of course, as I said, see, none of it belongs to my proprietary images. It's all I have collected from the internet. I'm stressing that once again, the forest fire. Again, you have seen very recently, they all attribute to the climate change. Even in US, the entire city was wiped, entire village was wiped out. Australia, yes. Even our own, our Western Ghats, they experience actually the forest fire, particularly. In fact, this year we should be very, very careful after February, because very less rainfall, even our Western Ghats. And of course, human intervention also is there actually. Spark. See, what Dr. Ganesh was mentioning, the invisible thing can be made to see visible through these thermal sensors. Like you can identify the people, if it is a, if it is a heavy floods, people are, somewhere actually in an isolated place. Safety, how do you identify them? Because the thermal temperature can able to give the, the identification of maybe an animal like the tiger, or it could be anything actually, or even the man, human being, and even the animal too, if the animals are approaching appropriately formed. All that could be identified from this. And of course, you can also use actually what is another called LiDAR, light detection and ranging, which can give you the accurate height information, the height of the building, actual shape of the building. Even not only that, even our topography can be seen very nicely with the LiDAR. Three-dimensional view can be seen. Okay, of course, this technology is still in a initial stage, nascent stage. I'm sure a lot of research is happening, little costly, but certainly these are the future technologies. See how the deforestation is better. Many of the climate change are attributed because of the human intervention. Of course, we are overpopulated. Our economy depends on our natural resources. Yeah? This may be very aggressive. I mean, I said actually, I have taken mining. Of course, right, 1 second. See, of course, this also is some other country. You know, the actual virgin forest could be mapped. The mangroves could be mapped. Actual coastal shoreline could be mapped. Because today, one of the important impact of the climate change is the effect on the shoreline. There is an increase of the sea level rise due to the increase in temperature and melting of the sea ice in the Arctic and Antarctic ice, which needs the expansion, large amount of water being flown, and those which are in low-lying areas, particularly in the coastal area, again, they are going to face a lot of problems, particularly the low-lying countries. Even transportation. Today, for example, Bangalore, from one place to another place, you require 1 to 2 hours. You want to go to my office, I have an urgent work, I may require another 1.5 hours to go there actually. See, so much pollution. See, which is again adding to the climate change, the carbon dioxide emission. And that's where this drone in the coming years, now today we don't have a permission. But US is working out. When the Amazon actually was really, at some point of a time they were taken up, but now it has been stopped actually. The transportation of the goods in terms of the carbon emission can be reduced with this kind of facilities. In fact, in the drone also there are different kinds of a drone. It's called nano drone, micro, small, medium, yes, swarming, bigger one, swarm drones, lighting drones. Many. I have not touched all those things because of lack of time. And since I am also concentrating on climatic change, you can even assess the air pollution. Not the systematic entire view. The samples could be taken from different places and analyzed. Even the water samples could be analyzed because all the dangerous area where we cannot go, the drone can go. That's where actually the drone is revolutionizing, particularly the local applications. Regional, of course, regional and for a global, still I feel the satellite is the only best technology today is available for us. So today, I don't foresee, but tomorrow and day after tomorrow, not maybe 1 or 2 years actually afterwards, like a cell phone, like a computer, the drone is going to play in all our daily activities. That is the kind of a future vision which we are expecting from this. With this, in fact, I just want to say, since my company, I represent a company, M Drone, Multiplex Drone is one of the